So, I'm a fan of wrestling games. Let's talk about them. RETCON Media here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome. And for this edition of the show, I'm going to talk about something that's very near to my heart. Everyone who knows about me is that I like wrestling. And one thing that I really do enjoy is wrestling games. So I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about them, and I figured not only talk about them, but do a good old-fashioned tier list, because for some reason everybody likes to do tier lists now. So we have 60 games right here. We're going to talk about each one of these games. I'll give my opinions on them, and I'll put them up in my ranker. I think I'll probably do it row by row, kind of like how Game Day did it, and pretty much most people who watch this video pretty much have seen wrestling games. I can't imagine anyone watching this video who doesn't have much knowledge on these. But if so, there will be some commentary to kind of go along with it. So we have 6 categories here. We have Hall of Fame, World Champion, Main Eventer, Mid-Carder, Lower Card, and Jobber. These are all some interesting categories to go through. And I'm going to go through them tier by tier. And I'm going to start off with the Jobber. And Jobber, in case you're not familiar with wrestling terms, Jobber is usually someone who's usually there just to lose. That's pretty much what a Jobber is. They're like enhancement talents in a lot of ways, except for enhancement talent is why I say enhancement talent when you can say Jobber, pretty much. So, Jobber. Games that I would put in Jobber. Let's start off with the obvious, the worst one of the bunch. That being WCW Backstage Assault. If you don't know much about WCW Backstage Assault, it was the final WCW game ever made. It was made in the year 2000, and it was released in late December 2000, 3 months before WCW went out of business. The game is mostly played backstage. And it bastically reverts a lot from Mayhem. A lot of the steps that Mayhem did, Backstage Assault just kind of went the other direction. For starters, there's only one-on-one matches, which already, in a lot of ways, limits a game in a lot of ways that it possibly could help it, but it limits it. And not only that, there's only so much you could do in the game that involves weapons that until it just gets kind of old. Not only that, but you have to go to the hardcore, it's hardcore gauntlet millions and millions of times just to unlock people that aren't even worth unlocking, like Vince Russo. Like, I can't imagine many people having a desire to play as Vince Russo. But yeah, WCW Backstage Assault worse. Also, in the worst tier, let me see if I can find it. We're seeing with WCW Nitro, and WCW Thunder. These two are kind of like a double header. These two are a double header because they're basically the same games, but they work in some ways different. I know Thunder has the big test of strength that you can limit somebody's health on for the longest time until it's pretty much not there anymore. So yeah, that's not so great. And then Nitro is rather limited in what you can do. Although I will be honest, I like both the rants because I think both the rants they're actually a lot of these are pretty good. Like Roddy Piper's and Thunder, I recommend that to this day. So yeah, if the best part about these games are like these little 7-8 second videos that you can see in the game, yeah, I think that should tell you, let alone all you can say there. Let me see if there's another game that I could really put in this one. 5-Star Wrestling. I don't know if anyone's played the 5-Star Wrestling game on PS4 who's watching this video, but it's not good. It's not that good of a game. And it sucks because I really, it's basically, it rips off wrestlers. Like there's, I think, like Andy Corgan and like Cross Angel or something like that. I could be. I don't think his name was Cross Angel, but like you could tell who these people, if you're wrestling fans, obviously parody. But yeah, it's rather primitive and it's not really that great of a game. Like I think it could. It's not really that great of a game. It's kind of such a shame. It's kind of much of a shame. And then WrestleMania 21. It was made by, in case you know WrestleMania 21, it was made by a company that made 2 games, that being WrestleMania 21, and the other game, I forgot what it was. But it was made by a company, there's only 2 games it made. WrestleMania 21 was one of those games. Now, don't get me wrong. Compared to all the other games, WrestleMania 21 looks amazing. The visual qualities on it are just simply stunning. Like, it's really amazing. I enjoy. I like. It's graphically, the best game for like a long time, at least graphic wise. It just sucks that the game didn't live up to it. The game just really didn't live up to it, and that is unfortunate. And of course, this game, it's got to be on the bottom tier. It's got to be. Everyone knows it. Simpsons Wrestling. Oh my god. This game, it's terrible. Don't buy it. Yeah, it sucks. You've seen. I'm pretty sure you've not. I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of wrestling video games, you've seen somebody rant about this game, and never heard anyone like the game. So, yeah, that tells you all you know about some games on the place. That alone, it sucks. So now, I think that takes care of the jobber. I think our jobber tier. Now let's head to the tier. These games did just enough to avoid this column. That's going to be the low card tier. The games that did just enough to avoid the jobber tier. So let's start off with. Let me see. I'm looking at what we have here. I know I would want to put in there. No, I'm not. I won't do that to Mayhem. Let's start off with the ECW games. Let me see. Anarchy Rules vs. Hardcore Revolution. I don't see it in here. There it is. The ECW games. All right. All right. So the ECW games. So basically, in 1999. Acclaim got to do some ECW games. After they did the WWF games, they decided to do some ECW games. And these games are basically slapped down editions of WWF Attitude. Pretty much. Although Anarchy Rules does things to defer itself, these games are pretty much one and the same in a lot of ways. It keeps the button combo formula that we are known for Acclaimed games. It's here. It remains here. And it's not any better, although Anarchy Rules, like I said, slightly adjusted it, but it still wasn't super, super good. Not only that, but like by 1999 and 2000, the Acclaim engine compared to what we were getting with the other engines just felt stale. If I'm being kind of honest, it just felt kind of stale. WWF Raw. WWF's first attempt on the Xbox. This is not a good game. Because WrestleMania, it's better to kind of to stay here. And it's terrible. The rest of wrestling, how I wasn't. I didn't break. I have a bit, but because by wrestling game just Leave a lot to be desired. Backyard Wrestling series. Also, I'm going to put in this. I'm also going to put the backyard, the Legends of Wrestling series in this spot too. I mean, not Legends of Wrestling. The backyard wrestling games were kind of to me. Like I didn't like I don't hate the games, but they're not really games that I really enjoy. That I really enjoy. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to play backyard wrestling again. So yeah, backyard wrestling can kind of go in that tier. And let me see. I think that's probably going to be it for lower card. My lower cards here. Yeah, I don't think I see another game that go. Actually, I do. WWF Royal Rumble for the Dreamcast. Well, I think this is one of the few games that was made for the Dreamcast. Was WWF Royal Rumble, and basically it's an arcade game ported onto the Dreamcast. That's really all you need to say there. Especially because you only have like 10 seconds to make your decisions, so that limits everything, and yeah, that's all I need to say about that. WWF Royal Rumble, lower card. All right, mid quarter. All right, so now it's time for the next step up, and that is the mid quarter. So these are the games that I consider average. These games, I'm going to call them okay. They're not meh. They're not meh like the lower card games are, but they're not good like the main event card. So these games are pretty much average to me. And that's where I'm going to talk with WCW Mayhem. Because to me, WCW Mayhem is average. It's the first WCW game made by EA, the first of two. The second one being Backstage Assault. WCW Mayhem came after that, and if I'm being honest, WCW Mayhem it's a solid game. I think compared to Backstage Assault, Mayhem aged kind of well, in my opinion. I think it aged kind of well. Not only that, but you hear a lot of people nowadays talking about how the game has it looks, I think it got a lot of slack back then because it wasn't, I don't think, what everybody wanted it to be, but for what it is, it's not a bad game. It definitely laid a good foundation, and if they made a Mayhem 2 like they were supposed to, I think this game could have, I think the WWE Mayhem series could have been a really great series for the company. It's just unfortunate that everything kind of happened the way it did. And speaking of games that laid a great foundation, TNA Impact. 616 Entertainment said it best. It's fun in short doses. It's not terrible. I see this game on people's top 10 list of the worst games, and in my opinion, TNA Impact is not the worst game. It is not one of the worst wrestling games out there. It's not. Yes, the story mode was terrible. I hated the story mode. I will admit that. I hated the story mode. I thought the story mode was terrible. I also did not like some of the controls. I think some of the controls were frustrating. But for what it is, I thought TNA Impact was a decent game. I thought it was a really decent game. I thought it was a solid game, it's a solid game. I like this, like I said, because I like how the game looks. I like playing Ultimate X in the game. And like I said, it's a good game to play for 10, 20. It's a good game to play for no more than 30 minutes. It's not the game that you want to play for 3 hours. It's a game that you want to play for 10, 20 minutes to pass some time. And you'll have a fun time in Impact. All right, now we're gonna do the arcade WrestleMania arcade game and WrestleMania in your house. These games were both made. These games I think were both made by Midway. Um, And basically, these are arcade games. These are actually pretty decent arcade games if you take them for what it is. They're simple, straightforward to play. Not much else to say about them. Although I think In Your House took it a little too far with the power ups and power downs. But other than that, there's not much to really say about those. There's not much to really say so much about those games. WWE 2K15. Okay, so WWE 2K15 has been WWE 2K15 in a lot of ways is like TNA Impact. If I'm being honest, it's not a great game. All right, WWE 2K15 is not a great game. I will openly admit that because I don't think it is. I think it's I think it's terrible. But there is fun to be had in WWE 2K15. You know, it sucks. I think that the fact that they took so much stuff out, depleted it. I also don't like what they've done with certain modes. I also don't like what they did with certain modes. 2K Showcase though was amazing. Anyone who's played that, so I have to give it that. I also thought Universe mode, while it sucked compared to the games that we had before it, was also enjoyable for what it was. For what it was, they were testing out new things with it, and some of those new things didn't stay. But I can't say it was a bad. I can't say it was a. I can't say it was terrible like a lot of people say it, but I can't say it's great. So mid-quarter tier it goes. All right. And speaking of mid-quarter tiers, Raw 2. The presentation in this game is really good for the Xbox. I really like the presentation of Raw 2. And there's also many little customization features. But is Raw 2 up there with the SmackDown series? No, not at all. Not even not even close. But was it a decent game in my opinion? I think it was. I thought Raw 2 was decent. It definitely was better than Raw on the Xbox. I can't put it in the same tier because I thought Raw 2 was better. And speaking of better, I also thought Legends of Wrestling 2 was better. I thought Legends of Wrestling 2 actually paved the way for the Legends of Wrestling series. It made the series have potential. It just sucked that Showdown happened and we took more steps back, which is why I have to give it them. Also in the mid card spot is going to be the Acclaim, the WWF Acclaim games for the PS1 and N64, Warzone and Attitude. They're not for the time they're really good games. For the time they were great games, but now their age has really shown. It hasn't aged well. I'll have to admit that. It hasn't aged well. And not only that, but the button combo thing is also not good. And plus, the characters don't. The wrestlers definitely don't look good. If you grew up with the N64 games, you're definitely going to hate these. But if you grew up with the PS1 games, these games have memories for a lot of people. And these games have a lot of memories for a lot of people. I have even had some fun with them myself. So I can't put them in mid card. I can't put them in lower card or dropper because I've had memories with these. And these games are okay. They're okay. Let's see. Anything else that needs to go into main offenders? I'll put in Rumble Roses. I'll put in both the Rumble Roses games in this spot. They're alright. They're not something spectacular, but they're alright. They're alright. Same thing with Lucha. It's okay. It's not going to blow your mind, but I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's a game that's going to blow your mind. And same for Legends of WrestleMania. Legends of WrestleMania had a lot of promise, but it did not deliver. It didn't deliver at all. Oh man, it really didn't deliver. And that's the real shame part there. It just didn't deliver. Now let's head into main eventers. So these are when we start to get good games. These are the games that are really good. Really good. But I think before we do, I think I do have one more game that I want to put in to mid quarter, and that's going to be 2K18. 2K18 is kind of boring in my compared to some of the other games. 2K18 is kind of boring, if you ask me. If you ask me, it's kind of boring. And actually, the same for just Bring It. I don't think I'm in the main event here because there's lots of games I see myself just putting them in here. All right, so main eventer. So for main eventer, I'm gonna start off with. I'm gonna start off with SVR 2008 because I like SVR 2008. I don't. I think the styles they didn't do a good job of separating those classes with the how you play thing. I think that had a lot of potential to be something really really great, and they just didn't execute it the best of ways. They kept a lot of that. They kept a lot of stuff that they added in 08. They kept it in 09, which was surprising, but they took out GM mode. This was the last game for many many years to have GM mode, and it kind of 08 doesn't suck, but 24/7 mode was disappointing, and the roster was also kind of disappointing too. But but the fun part about 08 is that, like I said, it had GM mode, so that's probably the only reason I'm putting it in main eventer because of GM mode. Let's see, what else? I'll go All Stars. I like All Stars. All Stars is a fun game. It's basically in a lot of ways the unofficial sequel to TNA Impact because it kept the engine. It kept the engine and it kept a lot of the moves that were in the game in a way. And it also kept the dev team that made Impact made All Stars. So that alone should tell you what you need to know. But in all honesty, it's a good game. The gameplay is fun. Little over the top, but it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy playing this more than I play the other one, so that alone gives it that spot. And let's see, we're going to put SBR 2009 in here. SBR 2009. It is the weakest out of all of the of the SmackDown versus Raw series, in my opinion. It is the weakest. But the Road to WrestleManias were really fun. Those were really enjoyable to play through in this game, which is why I'm giving it that main offender spot. Other than that, the game is kind of forgettable. But Road to WrestleMania was a great experience in that game. Let's see. 2K games. 2K games I'll put in this tier. 2K16 and 2K7. 2K16 and 2K17. Oh yeah, and I forgot about, we'll put WK20. Oh, everyone knows about that one. I'm the worst right there. 2K16, 2K17. These games, not a lot of differences between the two of them. I know 17 brought back Backstage, but other than that, the universe modes are practically identical. My career is practically identical in a lot of ways. The gameplay was good. These games aren't bad. They aren't super great, but they're not like, I don't want to say they aren't super great, but because I'm putting them in this tier, but they're enjoyable nonetheless. The Austin Showcase and this one was fun, and this game just it's a personal favorite of mine. It has a lot of memories. And I've had a lot of fun experiences with 2K17, so it gets the main eventer spot for me. Wrestling Empire. Oh yeah, I'll put Battlegrounds. I'm forgetting a lot of games. Battlegrounds can go right there. It's average to me, but Wrestling Empire is fun. I'm a big MDicky game fan because I think for mobile wrestling games, he's just made the best. He's just made the best. I know WWE, they tried to make a mobile game way back with W2K. That didn't go so well. That didn't go so well. It didn't help they charged $8 for it. But Wrestling Empire isn't a bad game. If I'm just being straight up with you, it isn't a bad game. It's fun. The gameplay is not the best part. It's just the freedom. It's everything surrounding the gameplay that makes it better, which is why I'm putting it in that tier. Also in that tier, just a quick fire some games, Def Jam Vendetta. Fire Pro Wrestling returns. And the first SmackDown game. I had to put the first SmackDown game in here because it started because if it wasn't for this game, we wouldn't have the WWE series and where it is today. That alone gives it a main event tier, in my opinion. And also, it's not trash. It also isn't bad. It also isn't bad for if you just take in mind the time it was made, the time period that it was made. It also wasn't bad. WrestleMania 18, I'll put right here. But WrestleMania 19, I will put right here because I like WrestleMania 19. I like it. It's fun. I enjoy it. All right, so now here we go. We go into the World Champion. So these are games that are, these games are great. These games are great, and they're just games that are you can play them at any time, and you'll have a great level of enjoyment to them. That's what I can say about. That's what I can say about the World Champions here. So let's start off with. Let's see. SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. SmackDown 2 Know Your Role took what this game did, elevated it 200 to the max. What else really needs to be said there? The Day of Reckoning series is probably the Day of Reckoning series is an underestimated series in mine. Do I think it's better than the SmackDown series? Not all of it. Like I think it's better than SmackDown. I think both games are better than Just Bring It. And I also thought they were on par with the first set of SmackDown games. But the Day of Reckoning series for the GameCube is fun. It's fun. Those are fun games. It's a fun game to play. You know, they both had no mercy feels to them. I will give them that. They both had no mercy feels to them, and those made it programs that were just, and that's a solid engine to follow up on. So the fact that it takes inspiration from that is already like a good step in my opinion, and it showed. And not only that, but like the story modes here were all amazing. I I enjoyed playing them, especially especially the Raw one. I think it was on Day of, the one where the world title got vacant. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. WWE. Oh no, no, not right there. WWE 12, 13, and 2K14 are world champions in my opinion. These three games all have something special. These three games all have something special to them, actually have like at least three things in my opinion that are very special about them. 12, the Road to WrestleMania mode. Wow. Fighting backstage got frustrating. The universe mode is probably the best universe mode that was ever made. Ever. So that's already two things I like about the game. Not only that, but it started the direction. It started my direction of WWE games because this is the WWE game that I have the memory. I have a lot of memories playing it with my brother, and it's a game that I truly. It's a game that I hated it at the time, but I really enjoyed it. As time went on and aged, I really enjoyed it. 13 and 14, Attitude Era mode in 13 was great. The Universe mode I thought was good, not as good as 12's, but the Universe mode was enjoyable. The one count glitch, not so good. 2K14 is the best game out of all three of them, in my honest opinion. The streak mode was fun. 30 Years of WrestleMania was fun. And it was also, I think, the best way to send off the PS3 and Xbox 360 games, as we really knew them in terms of new games. Let's see. Also in the World Champion tier, Fire Pro. Fire Pro Wrestling is amazing. If you've never played it, it takes a while to get into, but once you get into it, it's a fun game. It's worth your money. It's worth every cent of your money. SPR 2006 is enjoyable. I have lots of fun with SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I like the story modes. I like the season modes in both Raw and SmackDown. I thought they were equally just as good. It's also the game that gave us birth to GM mode, the first GM mode. It's also, in my opinion, the most difficult GM mode to beat out of all the GM mode games. And while I do think it's successful, I don't even see it on here. Where is SPR 2007? SPR 2007 is not on here. Oh, but I would put SPR 2007 right along 06 because both those games were really, really good. And those are games that people are still raving about to this day. So that alone tells you how good they are. SVR 10 and 11. SVR 2010 and 2011 are amazing games. 11 being the better one of the two, but 10 being really good. Because the road to WrestleMania 11 is what everybody raves about for the game, and not only that, but like there's physics in the game that even the 2K games today don't even have. So yeah, let that sink in. SmackDown versus Raw took steps back from Here Comes the Pain, but it's all right. It's all right. I'd play it over 09, so I'll give it this spot. And I think my last. All right, and then I only have a few more to go, and that is going to be WWE versus NWO World Tour. For it to start off the wave of Aki games that we here had in the U.S., boy, did it started off right. The Aki games, this game started it all. It's the most primitive out of all the other games, in my opinion. It's the most primitive, and the story, and it's also not. It's also the one where it's the most clunky, in my opinion. Like it doesn't. The wrestlers don't feel like the wrestlers that they're supposed to be lots of times because the giant would be just as tall as 6. So stuff like that kind of keeps it down there. But in terms of a wrestling game, it doesn't get much better than World. It gets better than World Tour, but that's a pretty damn good game. It's a damn good game. And I think these other 6 right here, these are my Hall of Famers. These 6 games right here are my best of the best. They're the games you hear probably the most positivity about in a lot of ways. WrestleMania 2000 is the most underestimated. Out of any other game here, WrestleMania 2000 is the most underestimated one. For it to come off of WCW NWO Revenge, it basically just slapped WWF on everything. and it made for a lot of memories. It made for a lot of good gameplay, in my opinion. Now, the Road to WrestleMania, I think that it is in this game, I think could have been fine tweaked better because it feels like you can just win all the titles like very easily. But it's a solid wrestling game. It's a solid, really good wrestling game. It also has Create Wrestler, which WWE NWO Revenge doesn't have, but WWE NWO Revenge, hands down, best WCW game of all time. Nothing even comes close. Nothing even comes close to it. It's up there. Then we have W2K19, which, in a lot of ways, is until 2K22, 2K19 was the best. It was the best wrestling game that was made. And it was enjoyable. And there's a lot of stuff that's enjoyable. Stuff that limits it, Universe Mode was kind of the same from 2K18. And I think it just didn't progress the series like it could have. But other than that, I enjoyed the wrestling on 2K19. It's a fun game to play even today. It's fun. No Mercy, which in a lot of people's minds, the best wrestling game to ever hit it. And to be honest, no game has impacted the wrestling game industry no more than No Mercy, to the point where it's basically the inspiration for so many wrestling games. Jeff Piampiavetta has ideas from No Mercy. The Day of Reckoning series has ideas from No Mercy. The AEW game is supposed to be based off of No Mercy. What else needs to be said? It's a game that is trying to be not only that, but there are people who mod the game, who basically just re-alter to a different thing. WCW Feel the Bang is a copy of WWF No Mercy, just with currents, just with WCW slapped on everything with WWF. But it's WWF No Mercy deep down. It uses that engine. And then, of course, my final, and of course, these two games, Shut Your Mouth and Here Comes the Pain. My opinion, I think Shut Your Mouth is the better game than Here Comes the Pain. And this is why. I think the season mode. These two games are nearly the same in a lot of ways, but the season mode of Shut Your Mouth is just over Here Comes the Pain, because the season mode of Shut Your Mouth is 2 years. Not only is it 2 years, but it doesn't repeat. The 2 years don't exactly repeat in some ways. Like, you get the NWO storyline, and then a lot of stuff continues on, like the Flair McMahon storyline. That continues throughout the whole 2 years of the game. But it's more diverse, because in Shut Your Mouth, you can go to it's free roam. There's a free roam here, because you can literally walk around wherever, whenever. Here, they took that out for Here Comes the Pain, and that kind of sucks. And I think in Here Comes the Pain, they went overboard on certain things. I think Shut Your Mouth is that fine balance. Like, I like being able to jump off the fist and Shut Your Mouth. I wish they kept that in Here Comes the Pain. But I think both these two games are solid games. You know, this is, I think, WWE games at their high point are these three games right here. No Mercy, Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain. Those are my three top tier. These are the three best, in my opinion. And these three are also near that same tier, in my honest opinion. At the end of the day, this is my tier list up top and Hall of Fame of WrestleMania 2000, WCW NWO Revenge, 2K19, No Mercy, Shut Your Mouth, and Here Comes the Pain. World Champions, SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, The Day of Reckoning Series 12-13, WWE 12-13 and 2K14, Fire Pro, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, 2010, 2011, and SmackDown vs. Raw, and WCW vs. NWO World Tour. Main eventers are SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, All Stars, SVR 2009, 2K16, and 2K17. Wrestling Empire, Def Jam Vendetta, Fire Pro Wrestling Returns, SmackDown, and WrestleMania 19. In the mid-carder, we have WWE Mayhem, TNA Impact, WrestleMania the Arcade Game, and WWF In Your House, 2K15, Raw 2, Legends of Wrestling 2, Warzone, Attitude, Rumble, the Rumble Roses series, Lucha Libre, Legends of WrestleMania 2K18, Just Bring It, Battlegrounds, and WrestleMania 18. Lower card, both ECW games, Raw, Legends of Wrestling, Showdown, Backyard Wrestling Series, and WWF Royal Rumble. And the jobber tier, Backstage Assault, Nitro, Thunder, 5-Star Wrestling, Regenesis, WrestleMania 21, Simpsons Wrestling, and 2K20. That is my list. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to check out the channel for more content on the way. And I thank you for your view. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time. Peace out.